Hello friends, my name is Claire. If you're new to my channel, I do a occult build each week in the month of October, and I usually just focus on one occult per video, but for this video I decided to focus on all of the occults. Well, not like all the occults, but I decided to make a lot that looks like a neighborhood, and it is 3 houses and a park you can see I'm working on now, but the houses are designed for werewolves, spellcasters, and vampires, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do a house based off of these 3 occults because I feel like they would make interesting neighbors for one another, especially the vampire and the werewolf. So I'm starting off in the park area because I don't usually do this landscaping bit. I mostly focus on designing and the furniture part of my videos, and I usually skip the landscaping and like the actual building part of The Sims when I make my videos because I feel like I'm kind of indecisive when it comes to that, and I feel like it just would take too much time, and I prefer like when I watch HGTV to see all the like pretty design stuff. So we are just going to be adding some park benches, some chess tables, and a statue in the middle of this area. I wanted to kind of break this area into like a adult space, kind of more like Times Square, or not Times Square, Central Park in New York City, and also Times Square is in New York City. That's where I was going with that. I'm dyslexic. So we are just going to be making this little like chest area, and then on the other side of this park, I decided to make an area for some kids to play on the monkey bars, and there's also a grill and a like picnic table. I didn't check to make sure I had all the requirements for a park, but I think I got most of them down. I definitely know that grills and chess tables are requirements for parks in this game, so we're finishing up this kind of more chess table fancy park area, and we're going to be going onto the left side of the park, which is the dining and grill area. And I first started off by adding some monkey bars. I wasn't like knowing like if you would want to play with kids on this lot. I wanted to keep my options open, and I feel like parks just need to have jungle gyms in a way. So we are just going to be expanding this green space. I was imagining that the vampire household and the spellcaster household could have children, and so I just wanted to make sure all my bases were covered so everybody can have a great time on this lot, being neighbors with one's mortal enemy. So we are just going to be adding another jungle gym just because I wasn't fully sure what I wanted to do with the space, and like, okay, maybe adding a second jungle gym would be a good idea because some people don't, or some occults don't want to be sharing monkey bars with other occults. So we are just going to be kind of scratching that idea and ending up going with the grill idea. It did take me a while to get there. You can see I'm kind of playing with like other kid equipment from The Sims, and I do end up going with some sand over the monkey bars, and I usually would cut like most of this out, but I feel like this was a good opportunity so you can kind of see my thought process when it comes to doing like builds. And if you want to play in this a lot, first off, you can download it off of the Sims 4 gallery. All the information is down below, but if you don't want to have a jungle gym area, you can easily just make this into a more picnic spot than a jungle gym and picnic grill spot. So we are just going to be finishing up this area. I felt like it was too big with too small with 2 picnic tables, and so I decided to just have 1 picnic table. And like I said earlier, I was imagining that there will be some feuding with neighbors not really liking each other, and said neighbors being occult sims, and so I'm just going to be adding some like cracks and scratches onto the sidewalk and onto the different parts of this park area. And now we are in our first occult house, which is a vampire home. So I wanted to go for a Victorian style home similar to the large house I did 2 weeks ago. If you like occults or vampires, or if you like a Victorian style home, I would recommend this video. I was trying to keep it very accurate, and so this home, or all the homes, are super small, and that was kind of hard to design with in mind because of all of the different like rooms I need to include. So all of the basements are not the same footprint as the first 2 levels. They are a lot larger, and so for this main floor space I decided to make it more of like a skill building area, and there is a bathroom because there was no space for me to put a bathroom on the 2nd level of this house. And so we are just going to be adding all these lovely fancy vampire items from the pack, and I really do like how time accurate this pack is, or the vampire pack is, with the different Victorian era styles. And so we are just in the backyard. I made sure to add a plasma tree plant on here, so if you want to play in this house, it's just a little bit easier. And I feel like the vampires would be like, okay, we need to be good neighbors. We can't just go biting everybody's necks, so let's add a plasma plant to our backyard. And I feel like that would just kind of maybe be something that the HOA put in. If you're not familiar with what an HOA is, it's called a homeowners association, and just some rules that people have to follow if they live in the neighborhood. Like, they can't have their garbage can out for too long, or they have to keep the roads clear, or have their yards put in from a year from moving in. And I don't know, that was just kind of be funny. Like, you can't go making a ruckus in this neighborhood. And so the vampires complied with that feature. So we are just going to be adding a TV into this space, and I feel like a TV kind of looked out of place, but I feel like it's just the best way for your Sims to build up their skill. They can also watch movies together, which I think is super cute. So we do have a tiny kitchenette. I wasn't fully sure if kids can eat, or if they can, like, if they have to eat natural food, and so I just kind of put the kitchen in there for that, like if the kid needs to eat food. And it's also a storage essential with the fridge. You can store your plasma fruit in the fridge. And so we are just in the bathroom. I was mentioning that this space would be the primary suite's bathroom, so you can see we are just copying all of the items from the 1st level bathroom down here to the basement bathroom. And now we are going to be finding a coffin. Coffin. So we are just going to be adding a coffin to this room, because if you're a vampire, you can sleep in coffins, and I wasn't sure if I should add 1 coffin or 2 coffins. 2 coffins just seemed too much to me, and so I just kept it with 1 coffin. And I feel like this is just kind of a funny space if you didn't realize that this is for a vampire. So we are just going to be adding a wardrobe and going to be adding a large picture of Vlad, the vampire overlord. And so I feel like this area turned out pretty well for being a bedroom with a coffin instead of an actual bed. Something else I did in this basement is adding a lot of cracks to the walls because it's a basement and basements usually settle over time. And so we are now on the second level of the house. So this level of the house looks out into the rest of the neighborhood, and I wanted this area to be this landing space to be kind of more like an office area to have a computer, but still keeping it very fancy with the desk and the chair. And now we are just going to be adding some curtains into this little turret part, and I feel like this area turned out pretty well. I didn't give like every room an interest, especially not like the primary suite rooms, but I wanted to give this room a theme of music. I just felt like that was just really fun, and there was a lot of space to add music and art items, and your Sims can gain some skill through all of these items, which is always a bonus. You can make some paintings and then sell them, and then you can get money. So we are just going to be adding some artwork into this bedroom, and I'm pretty sure this is the last area of the vampire house I'm going to be showing you. So we're just going to be finishing up this area with a dresser and just going to be moving around the pictures so they all look properly placed. And now we are going to the spellcaster's home. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home, and we are going to be starting off in the kitchen because of these kitchen countertops that came with the Realm of Magic pack. There is also a stove, but there are no upper cabinets, so I decided to use some upper cabinets from the base game. I just chose some black cabinets because it just felt like it matched mostly, and it was a good contrast to the white background or white tile background. So we are just going to be in the one and only bathroom. So this area was pretty simple to do. 1, because it's small. 2, because I kind of already knew of these items because of it was the first week's video in October where I did a big home for a spellcaster. Well, I wouldn't say big home, but it was a larger lot for a spellcaster. And so if you want to check that video out, it's the first video of this month. And so we are just going to be working on the entryway now. And I'm just trying to make this as simple as possible. I feel like having this cute little coat rack just kind of brought some of that like fall flavor into this house. And now we are going to be adding some tables and chairs for a little dining area, and just going to be sizing down a rug. And now we are in a cauldron room. So this area is for the witch or wizard to be practicing their spells. I was like halfway imagining that they would be like apprenticing someone, and so I wanted to like kind of keep that in mind with like these items and like make sure there's like enough room for 2 Sims to be up here. And so we are just going to be adding a potion stand, and we're going to be adding a wand holder, and we are just going to be adding a rug. I feel like the werewolves and the spellcasters have a lot of like moon inspired objects from these packs, and so we are just going to be adding a desk and putting it down here in the basement. I do extend this space so there's like a little bit more of a living room area, and I feel like that was just kind of necessary in a way, just to keep all of these like spaces bigger and more usable. And so we are just going to be extending this room out just slightly. I liked having the desk underneath the window. I feel like that was a nice little feature, and so we are just going to be figuring out where to put the TV. I also wanted to make sure that there is a spot for a fireplace, because on the exterior of the house I put a little chimney out there, and so we are just going to be adding a rug and a side table. I'm sorry if this bothers you, I did fix this, but the table on the side doesn't really match that well, but I do fix it and I think it looks better matching with the table. Maybe you would have noticed. I'm sorry if I didn't point that out. So we are just going to be adding some artwork. I feel like the vampires and the spellcasters kind of have that same fancy upscale aesthetic, and it was like kind of hard in a way doing these builds back to back, and so I was trying to like have some differentiation in a way. So this house does have more like bookshelves, because the bookshelves do have like spells and potion bottles on them, and so I feel like that kind of helped with more of a witchy wizard style. And now we are just going to be adding a bed into this first room, and I really enjoyed doing this area because there's a lot of good like bedroom items that came with this pack. And so we are just going to be adding some artwork, going to be adding a mirror. I didn't have a theme or a interest in mind for this room in particular, and that was kind of hard to design for, because it's like, oh, should I like add a stuffed animal, or should I make it easier on those who are downloading it and not have it be too personalized? I did have this sim be into music as well, so maybe that can be like a bonding moment between the spellcaster and the werewolf. And I didn't really put any like music things into the werewolf, though I was halfway imagining that the werewolves would be like grumpy neighbors that you don't want to mess with, and the vampires and spellcasters are friends that do want to be around each other. So we are just going to be working on the master bedroom, or the primary bedroom. I'm just calling that because it's a bigger bedroom. So we are just going to be adding a dresser and mirror. And I didn't want to put the mirror in the corner, but I feel like having it like not in the corner, it feels like there should be something behind it. So I do end up putting a light behind the mirror just to kind of fill in that space. And now we are just going to be adding some pictures into this space. And now we're going to the werewolf home. So this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. I am using the doors so that only werewolves can get through. I just thought that was kind of funny in a way, just to be like, yeah, no wonder why they're so much loners, is because nobody can like actually get into their house. So we are just going to be starting off in the kitchen. I kind of did a little bit in the entryway, but right now we're just finishing out the kitchen. So we are just going to be making a little like U-shaped kitchen. I wanted this area to feel very cozy and very mismatched. I was imagining that these werewolves wouldn't really hide the fact that they're werewolves, maybe because they have vampires for neighbors. So we are making this house feel very loved, very like put together in not a good way. So we are going to be having a lot of like mismatched appliances and going to be having a lot of tears and holes in the wall for this area of the neighborhood, and kind of having like more rough window furnishings. And I do have a mix of ladders and stairs to get into the different levels. So when you go downstairs, you go down the stairs. When you go to the second level, you go up through the ladders. And I just feel like it helped kind of make this home feel very mismatched and very rough in a way. Like the vampire's home only has stairs, and the Castor home only has ladders to get to space, but I feel like having this like mismatch, it just kind of helped with the disorientation or the disorganization of the house. So we are just going to be adding a lot of artwork and wall decorations with like scratches. And I was imagining that these werewolves would have a little bit of anger issues in this house, and so we are just going to be adding some furniture into this little living room space, and going to be adding a little desk with a computer. Again, very mismatched and put together like this desk, and just going to be adding some gym equipment. I was mentioning one of the Sims would be very into working out, so I do put a workout weightlifting item in the bedroom on the second level. So we are just going to be adding some items onto this desk. I try to keep it very simple. I was also trying to put things in that little cubby, so we are just going to be adding some items now into the bathroom. So this is the bathroom on the basement level, and I do just extend it one tile out, so it's like 3 tiles too wide, and I feel like that works better just because of the doors in this house are very large and like 2 squares large, and so we are just going to be rearranging these items ever so slightly so your Sims can get the best use and not like get stuck in these items. So we are just going to be adding some of these bathroom essentials, and I wanted to add some big artwork onto this wall, and this is when I realized like, oh, I forgot how the werewolf scratches come in different swatches, so you can have different styles of werewolf scratches, or these different like decaying like age crack scars on the house. I don't know what to call them. Anyway, we are in the first bedroom, and I was imagining that this could be for a child or a teen. I do have more like teen adult items in this room, with an art easel and a like full-length mirror, and there's a lot of like different like marks on the walls, and so I was kind of imagining that this sim could be like just figuring out their powers, can't really get their rage under control, and so they kind of hide themselves in the room to like calm down. And so we are just going to be adding some items on this dresser under the bed. This bed comes in 2 different styles, and so I wanted to use one of this styles, it's loft bed down here, and then I use like the not loft bed, kind of more kid-sized bed upstairs on the second level. So we are getting close to the end of the video, and if you're still watching, please comment down below a spider emoji, because I would love to know who is still watching. So we are just going to be adding a dishwasher, which might seem a little bit weird, but there is an item that came with the for rent pack where it's like 3 different mailbox units stuck together, and I feel like that made this just feel a little bit more realistic. And I did use the swatch of the mailbox that looks a little bit more beaten up. I'm like, okay, yeah, there was definitely a fight that happened at the mailbox. So we are just now in the second bedroom on the second level, and this is the same bed I used in the last week's video, which was for a family of werewolves. So we are just going to go and just kind of rearrange a few things. I feel like having this wolf picture in this bedroom makes a little bit more sense than having it right next to the front door that also has a wolf on it. So we are just going to be finishing up this home, adding some scars and scratches onto the walls, and going to be going into the balcony. This werewolf pack did come with a super cool telescope, and I wanted to make sure I included it in this build. So we are getting close to the screenshots of the videos, so if you enjoyed watching, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I post new videos every single Tuesday, and I'm also on Instagram, so you can follow me there if you are also on Instagram. And I am planning to do a lot of fall inspired homes during the month of November. So if you want to see me build something specific, maybe for a family with a specific number of Sims, please leave that down in the comment. I love seeing what you would want me to build, so we are going to be heading into those screenshots. So I hope to see you all next week for another Sims 4 video. Bye!